Hi Rinki, good evening.
Hi Manish. Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for asking. So let me start with my experience first, and then we will talk about you as well. So here I have been working for last 8 years in this organization, and my team used to work as a DevOps engineer. So we are dealing with multiple vendors, like we are working with the different clouds as well, like we are working with the AWS, we are working with the GCP and the different DevOps tools and technology. We also used to do the monitoring part as well, like few of our team members used to work on the monitoring. And like we do have multiple customers working in your finance sector, and some of them are in the food sectors as well. So this is a kind of brief about my team and what we do here. So let's get started with yourself, like what's your work experience and what's your day-to-day task?
Sure, Manish. That was great to know about your work culture and your teammates. And my day-to-day activities look like since I'm a DevOps engineer and I have also been working in the same industry for about last 5 years. And I have got the chance to get my hands dirty in almost all the technologies. Like I worked in CI/CD, worked with Jenkins, GitHub Actions, GitLab, all the three tools. And if I talk about containerization, then I've worked with Docker and Kubernetes. Like I have experience of writing Docker files or like minimizing the existing image sizes. And apart from it, if I talk about containerization, uh, like I have worked in Kubernetes EKS, ECS, both of them, or hosting simple application on AWS Cloud. I majorly have experience in AWS Cloud. And apart from it, what technology that I have? Yeah, IAC tools as well, Terraform, that I know very well. I have experience in writing Terraform modules to which automate almost all the provisioning of our infrastructure for all our customers. And till now, I've worked with three companies. This is my third company. I worked with HCL, I worked with Qburst, and now I'm working with Tech Mahindra. So this is my third company, and looking forward to what this interview like has for me and how it goes.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So, yeah, let's get started with the other questions as well. So, how do you start your day on the daily basis? Like, or you can talk about today as well. Like, how did you started your day, and what's your plan for the rest of the day?
Okay, so as I said that I'm DevOps engineer, I get daily task tickets. It could be over Jira or email, or we have a common Google Chat group where we get tasks assigned. It could be different tasks, like giving, because our applications, we are having multiple applications, multiple customers hosted across Africa specifically. So we get sometimes access issues or some people from development team, many new people join to giving them access on on-prem servers. We are not only using cloud, we are also like having on-prem because the applications are loan-based applications. So giving accesses, managing access is one of the major tasks that no one gets something access to something extra which he does not require, he or she doesn't require. So apart from this, like on Jira or on email, we get issues to fix, like if any deployment task to be done today or in the majorly we do deployments late night in the evening. So we get those updates. So internally we have a daily status update call at 10 a.m. where we decide who shall work on which task, who shall be in the night shift. Majorly, we stay in the morning shifts like 9 to 5. We work, but we also support in the night time as well when required. Deployment tasks, as I said, like access management tasks. and also some automation tasks, little tasks like uh, creating some pipeline for a newly created microservice or setting up infrastructure for a new customer or migrating some existing setup to new these kind of activities like summarize my day-to-day activities.
Okay, that's great to know. Like, how do you start your day and project management things also you talked about the Jiras and how do you get the task and how do you prioritize and works. And you also mentioned about the on-prem related things. So I hope you have worked with the clouds as well. So let's get started with the another question, which is related to the your cloud and the different technology. So just suppose that we have a customer who has opened his new restaurant and he wants to run the website for his newly opened business. So, as a DevOps engineer, what all kind of help you can do, like from the technical perspective as well, and of being a DevOps engineer, what all suggestions you can do, or what kind of setup you can suggest for that particular business?
Sure, Manish. So I am assuming since we have got a new customer, so for this new customer, we are having our website code already developed by the development team. And as DevOps team, so what would be our responsibility? Uh, we shall, if they want, we can containerize their application. We can help the development team containerize the application first. And if needed, we can get into Kubernetes thing as well. So once the setup is ready, like application deployment files and these all things are working on local, we can just set up the infrastructure over cloud, like AWS. Depending upon the requirement, we can set up the EC2 instances or EKS or ECS, we can choose. And apart from it, once this application is deployed, we can set up CI/CD pipeline so that in later stages or initially we can set up the CI/CD as well for quick and safe deployment. And we will also look into the monitoring part for this application. We will set up CloudWatch alerts as well for those servers, set up alerts, alarms for memory, RAM, all of these things, and the application load as well. Or we can configure application level alerts as well, like any error or 504 we are getting on application, all those things. Then on top of that, once the application is hosted, we can set up domain name. Domain name can be either purchased from the customer side, like they can purchase, or either we can purchase that on their behalf. Then we will set up the domain settings. Like in Route 53, we will add the domain and route it to the application, whether it is hosted directly on EC2 or in EKS via load balancer, whatever it would be, depending upon the requirement. Then, since all of these will require us as a DevOps team would also be working, we would be requiring access to the AWS. So managing the roles among us would also be very important thing, like giving only the required access to the specific people. So all these things would summarize, and also we would distribute the work among us, like who will work on containerization along with team, who will set up the CI/CD pipeline, and which tool uh, is better suiting, like GitHub Actions is better suited for applications which we are hosting for GitHub. So all these things can be taken care of.
Okay, thanks for your answer. So when you talk about setup on the AWS cloud or any of the cloud, you talk about the servers as well, like where you will be hosting. You mentioned the Kubernetes and other things. So in which perspective you will be using the Lambda function or the EC2 machine? Both can run your application, correct? You have the code and both the things are available in the cloud, which can run your application. So in what scenario you are going to use either EC2 or the AWS Lambda function?
So it actually depends upon the application itself, like what kind of application you want to run. Let us say, Manish, we are having some application which is which you want to run only for a short period of time and only when something triggers it, then we would prefer Lambda. Okay, let us say we are having an application that creates a little application I'm talking about. Let us say whenever somebody uploads a video on S3 bucket, and the work of that application is to capture some random screenshots and give them as a thumbnail for a particular video. So this is the work of the application. So this application should work or should run only when someone uploads video to S3. So this is an event, and this event should trigger that application. So this is a event-driven application. So for these kind of applications, we will use Lambda. And in also, if we do not want more control over operating systems or RAM, CPU, these things, and we do not, and we are not sure like how frequently we would, or like how much scaling would be needed for our application. Like we do not want any control over infrastructure, then we can prefer Lambda because Lambda manages these things on its own. We do not have to worry. Also, it is cost efficient. But I would prefer EC2 when I want to control under the operating system or the runtime environment. Like I want to configure environment variables and all. I want to uh, set up Docker on it. So for these kind of things, I will use EC2. Like I want long running applications. Like I want some application to be hosted for which customers or like users are regularly pinging. It is not event driven. For that kind of thing, I will use EC2. So consistent workloads require EC2. That is, I get you also agree with.
Okay, that's great. You explained it in a great way about the differences, like when can you use Lambda function and the AWS EC2 machine as well. So, what do you understand by the DevOps actually? Like, we heard about the different terminology, SRE, platform engineering, and the DevOps. So, how do you see the DevOps itself?
So DevOps is a culture actually. DevOps is a very broad term if I talk about. So it combines like day-to-day tasks. Mainly focus of DevOps is to automate the processes and to integrate the processes. Like the development team has developed an application code. Their responsibility is till that point. After that, our responsibility starts as DevOps engineer. How are we going to like CI/CD process, that entire thing, the management, the releases, everything, all those responsibilities fall on DevOps people, DevOps and SRE and operations team all together they work on it. But DevOps mainly focuses on automating all the processes, like automating the CI/CD part, all those things. And SRE people like monitor those things, monitor alerts. SRE people debug and also require help of DevOps if needed. So all of them work together. The main focus is to is for the actual like delivery of the processes on time, and it should be smooth. Like and also to maintain the life cycle of the your application or code, whatever it is.
Yeah, okay. So, you talked about delivery, like how do we deliver the things, whatever the code is released. So, can you explain like what is CI/CD and CD? So, in a broader terms, like what is continuous integration, continuous delivery, and the continuous deployment?
Okay, CI/CD, like if we talk about CI is continuous integration. That is once an application code is ready, then like building application and test running test cases on it. Like after someone merges the code to the main branch, then like it goes application building and then it runs through some test cases like Robocop or SonarQube, these kind of things. This is continuous integration. Okay. And if it passes the test cases, then it is able to merge. This is continuous integration. Now, there are two more terms we talked about, continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Let us say we have set up a Jenkins pipeline. What it would do, like somebody merged the code in a particular branch, say, let us say main branch, and on merging it, it like gets deployed directly to the staging environment. This is continuous deployment. That is, someone merges the code, it gets deployed without any manual intervention in between and without any like testing or something in between. So it got deployed. This is continuous deployment. Now, continuous delivery. Delivery stands for like we are delivering to our customers only when it is required. We will take a proper downtime from a particular customer, only then we would be deploying. So before deploying to production environment, we take downtime and we like run various tests. We perform sanity on our staging environments. That if the application code, latest application code is deployed to the staging environment, that it is okay, it is running okay or not. We get a thumbs up. Only then we deploy it to the production environment. So this is continuous delivery. It requires manual intervention in between. So this is the difference between the three terms. All of them go hand in hand, if I say. Like continuous integration is for everything, then continuous deployment for staging environments. When it is done, we will do continuous delivery for customer specific environments by taking downtime, maybe in late nights or whatever it is.
Okay. So let's suppose that we have one Nginx pod which is running, and I want to expose it to the outer world. Correct. That means that if I want to hit a particular domain, like I have a company called StackForge, and I want to hit stackforge.com, and my request will go to the pod. Correct. So, what all things we will do as a DevOps engineer so that whenever I hit this particular URL in my browser, the request should go to the particular pod which is running within my cluster.
So, Manish, you want me to explain the entire setup like we would create, like, am I assuming since the pod is running, so it would be having a deployment file, services, ingress, everything in place, and on top of that, like we would, how we integrated with the domain name in Route 53. Do you want me to explain that process, right?
Yes, that's true. I want the same.
Okay. So I'm assuming that we are having an Nginx pod running. So since this Nginx pod is running, so there would be some deployment file, corresponding deployment file for it. Okay, so in this deployment file, we will be having like specifications for pod, its image, from where it has to pick the image, the number of pods, labels, all those things. On top of this deployment file, we would need a service, which would be of type load balancer. Okay, so as to expose the application to the outer world. Plus, we would also need an ingress. Okay, and ingress controller. An ingress file that would be having rules to route to this particular service. Okay, so how it would go, like we would have a domain name setup in Route 53. Let us say it is, as you said, stackforge.com. Okay, so we have an entry for stackforge.com in our Route 53. Now from here, we have to route it to the load balancer, which would be created when we would create a service of type load balancer. It would automatically create a load balancer on AWS, and from there it would be handling. Also, we would be having a ingress file deployed. So ingress and an ingress controller. In ingress file, we would be writing the rules that from here, if at this particular slash or slash home or slash dev or slash about that route to these particular pods, not to pods, but to these particular services. And services in turn will route to this particular pods under the deployment with the same labels or tags. Okay. So all this setup is done inside the Kubernetes cluster. Ingress will take care inside the cluster. Outside the cluster, like since service is created of type load balancer is created. So in Route 53, I will add the CNAME rule entry with load balancer URL there. So whenever somebody would click stackpush.com. The request will go to AWS. In AWS Route 53, it says, oh, from here I need to go to that particular load balancer. And from that load balancer, it will go to inside that cluster. Inside that cluster, ingress controller will take care. Ingress controller will read the rules from ingress file that, oh, the request is for slash, so it will route to those particular pods, those particular service, and internally to pods. So this is how the entire setup would be done. I hope like this answers your question.
Yeah, this answers my question. So just suppose that now you have built everything and you hit your URL in the browser, stackforge.com, correct? That we mentioned. So once you hit this URL in the browser and you are getting 403 error code. So how will you troubleshoot? What are the steps that will include your troubleshooting part from beginning up to the end, like up to the resolution, and what you will do after the resolution? So please explain all these things as well. How will you take care of the things?
Like, shall I assume this to be for the same application like we just talked about? Okay, so 403 means like forbidden. So whenever we are accessing the domain, it could be some permissions inside the Nginx pod that it is refusing the request, or we need to check inside the application itself, file permissions on the Nginx. We can check the pod logs, or we can check the ingress rules as well. Might be ingress rules are misconfigured. They are not routing uh, the particular like path. Like after the domain, there would be path like slash or slash home. They're not properly routed to the same service name, match the service name exactly, and match the service labels and the pod, respective pod labels exactly. Also, there could be some like misconfiguration in SSL certificates sometimes. So, like if you have added certificates as well, like do make sure, like in case of load balancer, you need to add that certificate there as well. So these things could be like checked, and it's a real-time question. I cannot answer this exactly, so it depends upon situation. Or we can check finally the logs of the pod, logs of the controller pod as well, Nginx controller, because it tells how is the request being routed internally. Or you can check if that DNS is actually like routing the request to that particular load balancer or not. That load balancer URL is properly there, CNAME is there. So these things can be checked.
Can you mention about any kubectl commands which we can use to troubleshoot this? Like if you get any issue with the 403, you talked about security groups, you talked about your ports which can be opened. So how will you start your troubleshooting? Like before getting into any files, you will have to run some kubectl command. So any like what will be your basic command to run?
Kubernetes commands, like if you talk about like kubectl logs, then the pod name, then minus n in the particular namespace. Like there would be to find out which is the ingress controller pod, we can use kubectl get pods, and then since this nginx ingress controller pod lies in a separate namespace, so you can I forgot that namespace name, but it is in a different namespace. We need to check it in a particular namespace. I guess that namespace name is something like ingress nginx, something like that. We can check the logs, kubectl logs. Also, we can inspect, or we can then grep something inside the, like if there is some error, or we can try to curl the URL from our like command prompt. So these are the like what else kubectl commands shall I tell you? Any specific commands you want me to tell?
No, no. Those these things are enough. We can use this kubectl logs. You can use this kubectl get events and other commands like to with the help of that you can check the deployments files and you can describe. You can check the node events and other things as well. Okay, so let's move with another question. Meanwhile, so just suppose that your Jenkins pipeline you are running, and that Jenkins pipeline is running some of the jobs in the night, and you need to set the notification so that whenever it gets failed, you at least your team on a generic mail or somewhere it gets the notified. So how will you set up the notification, and what kind of steps you will do here?
Like if some pipeline fails, how should we get some notification? So it depends like how we have configured. So as of now, we do not have any pipeline running in night without without someone actually working in the shift. We have people in shifts who are like monitoring them. So but it can also be we get triggers on like our email if some pipeline fails. Also, we are using GitHub Actions. So it is by default in GitHub Actions. If some pipeline fails, the owner gets notified with an email. Or we can configure Slack with it, or a GitHub channel. We also have it for specific pipelines. Not GitHub channel, Google Chat. We have integrated in our GitHub Actions. So these are the three things I can suggest as of now, but there are many available in the market.
So, any major challenges that you have faced as a DevOps engineer, and what were the learnings out of that challenge? How did you fix that, and what was the learning out of that particular issue?
Major challenge, like if I talk about Manish, like usually as DevOps, we get challenges every day. Some other day we get strange requests coming from development team to which the requirement is not even clear from them. So these are also challenges which we face daily. But apart from it, like sometimes we are stuck in certain things which take 1 day, 2 day, 3 day to figure it out, like how is it or what was the main bug. So as of now, I can recall one incident that was related to an RDS instance on AWS. Uh, like during night, a person was in shift. So what happened that we received an alert that space was almost more than 80% full. So this alert like made us okay, we can increase the size. We increased the size by 10 GB. But in the morning, we found it again that it was again full. Then we increased 10 GB more. So later on, we were confused. How is it consuming that much? So we sent the issue to the development team, and they said no, nothing is changed to the application. Something from the DevOps side. As you know, it happens between development and DevOps almost every day. So then what happened? Like we tried to contact AWS support. So from there, we get to know that what was happening. We were having this RDS as primary, and also we are having some secondary RDS to it, which is a replica of it. So when we increase the size of this primary database, we forgot to increase the size of the secondary. And what happens that the data, whenever something happens at the first one, so that data, so as to replicate it to the second one, there is a replication log that is getting generated. So that replication log gets generated, and since the second database was not increased in size, it was already full. So that logs were generated, but they were not sent to the second database. They were stuck on the first database itself. So they were occupying the space again. So it was happening continuously. That is why it was consuming the space. So from that we got to learn that whenever we are having two RDS, then we need to increase the second RDS as well, and we need to perform activity on both of them. So this is the one issue that I recall recently that happened with me.
Okay, that's good. How do you keep yourself updated with the latest tools and technology which used to come into the market, or any other, like for any particular new technology, there are multiple versions or the features which is being released. So, okay. So yeah, so how do you keep yourself updated with the latest tools and technology?
For this, like how to keep ourselves updated with tools and technologies. As such, since I go to office daily, we almost someone or the other person comes up and like tells like, no, this new thing has come in the market or this is something new. We like this interaction brings a lot of new things. And apart from it, like I've subscribed some newsletters, like from majorly from that, uh, like on some community from YouTube and that Stack Overflow. So these are the two websites I can remember as of now. I get updates from. Yeah, and if I watch some tutorials there from there also, I receive these things, these updates.
Okay. So your office colleagues are the best way to get the latest update about the tools and technology. That great to hear.
Yeah, we actually have a team of 22 people. So we almost like even if not everyone comes today, but almost 10, 12 people sit together. Like we communicate on like some people like a chatter box. So it's like we almost have a daily conversation on tech stuffs as well. What is the stack? All also help each other in their tasks. Like some are champions in on-prem while some in automation. So it's good to have.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So thanks for the interview, and I will pass the feedback to the HR. So yeah, thank you.